Betsy, how did you get involved with Green Book?
I wanted the job desperately. I called Ann Murtha, she's back there, and I said, "You got to get me in. I have a feeling. I love this idea. Please." And she got me the interview, and I got the job.
Well, Tony Lip's son Nick co-wrote the script. So did you have access to like their family albums of what you did? So
I had access to some fabulous photographs of Tony at the Copacabana with Tom Jones and Don Rickles and all kinds of characters. So we had that, and I had some pictures of his mother and their wedding, and I had a few pictures of the family. And it was, I think the big challenge in doing something like this is that you want to pay your respects to the sentimentality of your memories, but at the same time, you have to bring reality to the screen. So respecting how somebody feels about their family and memories that sometimes, your personal memories are larger than life, and you want to do justice to that. So that was the challenge, and the reward would be when his family members who are actually in the movie. It's quite complicated and interesting in that in the family sequences, the parents, the brothers were playing themselves. They were playing their fathers. So like the brother, Tony Lip's brother was really Nick Vallelonga's brother, and he was playing their father. So it was Nick Vallelonga and Frankie were the two young children, and there they were in the movie. And I was very confusing, but the most rewarding part was when they would come in for the fitting, and they all came in at the same time, the whole family.
Of course.
And it was 7:30 at night, and I said, "Okay, everybody just get in the room." And they'd look in the mirror, and they'd go, yeah.
That's how he dressed. Yeah.
My dad would have worn this. This is good.
Did they save anything of their parents?
No.
No, nothing.
Well, the necklace that Viggo wears is the actual necklace of Tony Vallelonga, and the charm bracelet that Dolores wears was actually Dolores' charm bracelet.
So
she wears it for Christmas. So when you work with actors like Viggo Mortensen and Mahershala Ali, they immerse themselves. I mean, most actors do, but I mean, Viggo went to upstate New York and hung out with the family and got the stories and got the picture, immersed himself. And they felt such a connection with him that they gave him the jewelry, gave him the real stuff. So it was good.
That's nice. I love how you fitted Viggo, because all of his clothing is tight, and you get the sense that like at some point, like years ago, his clothes fit him, but he just keeps eating and smoking. Now he has a beer belly, and his clothes are too tight, and he doesn't really care or have the money to buy new clothes. So was that how you approach his character?
I said to Viggo, Viggo, we didn't have a lot of money for this movie. You got doubles. You got two suits, and there's two of each of them. And in this period, they didn't wear their pants down below the belly, and you're getting a little fat, and the pants are slipping below the belly. The pants are supposed to be up around the waist. And he'd like, yeah, okay. And then he would incorporate that into the scene. I don't know if you notice, he's walking around. Sometimes he pulls his pants up. I always think, well, he's doing that for me. But he knew what was happening, so it was really cool.
Like he gained like 40 pounds. So did he already gain the weight, or was he in the middle of gaining the weight when he had his
No, he gained the weight. But, every movie, an actor's body, present opportunities and complications. And I know people are very interested in this weight gain of Viggo, and it was important because that's what Tony Vallelonga looked like. But, there's other occasions where somebody's very tall and you don't have money to get pants that are long enough, so you cut them off, or you invent something that takes on a fashion craze because of somebody's peculiar body. So for me, it was just like, this is the character, let's make him comfortable. And then we just started to have fun with it, because he would come to me in the morning and he'd say, "Guess what's happening today?" And I'd say, "What?" And he goes, "I get to eat a whole pizza." So he was torturing me, but in a fun way,
How much did you source and how much did you make yourself?
Well, Barbara out there, she helped me pull a lot of vintage stuff. We joke that we were either on a ladder in a costume house or with our head in a barrel in some rag picker shop somewhere. So there was a lot of that. But once I got to New Orleans, I made a lot of Dolores's clothes.
Her clothes are so cute.
Oh,
I was like, I would wear them. Like she has that like light blue cardigan.
That's sweet, isn't
Yeah.
it? That's original. And then also Mahershala, we had to make some things for him. And we did a lot of knitwear, all Mahershala's knitwear, except for that
really?
flat, rusty color sweater I had knit.
Don Shirley's like his clothes are the complete opposite of Tony's because he's so refined and just sophisticated, and I feel like he wears his clothes almost like as an armor, like especially now that he's like touring in the South to say like, look at me, like I'm a successful Black pianist with impeccable fashion sense, like defying all these stereotypes. So how did you approach dressing him?
He just actually was that way. He had a lot of fashion sense. And in that time, the jazz musicians were the really cool dressers. Like if you look at Miles Davis and some of the other guys, there was one guy that trumpet player that was my inspiration. I wish I could think of his name, but I get nervous in crowds and my mind is a blank. But he was great. His wife killed him. I don't know. It's a whole story. But anyway,
Okay.
So these guys were like the epitome of fashion. And they loved to do kind of like well-cut, but interestingly put together color choices. And I don't really think it was an armor for him at all. I just think he had style and he had the money to show his style. And it was very important for him, especially in the South, to, like walk into that clothing store and say, I'm a well-dressed man and I'm entitled to the things you're selling, but if you don't wish to sell them to me, then I'll just leave. He was just a very elegant man, and Mahershala has a lot of that elegance naturally, which I just employed to be inspirational and give him the kind of silhouette I knew those guys had and that I knew he could carry.
There's a lot of color in the movie, and like as they get to know one another, like during their trip, did you purposely or did you want them to try to kind of dress similarly in similar colors? Because I'm thinking of the scene when Don helps him write the letter to Dolores, and they're both in mustard color.
Mm-hmm. And Dolores is in the yellow robe.
Yes. So you wanted them.
It's
in
just
similar
an
colors.
autumnal moment.
Mm-hmm.
It wasn't to be. The actual thing, taking your point, is that I wanted in the end for him to be in the white tails and, in the tux, and to go into that club and play dressed so elegantly. And then as he leaves the club, the tie is off. And then as we go a little bit further, the sweater comes on and Viggo gets tired. And what I wanted was, in the end, he's wearing the sweater in the front seat, Mahershala, like Viggo, and Viggo's wrapped up in the blanket that he kept on his knees in the back. And that said it all for me. And that's what I wanted to say.
Yeah. It's like full circle.
Mm-hmm.
So what are you working on next?
AT&T commercial.
Really? When can we see that?
I have no idea.
All right. Well, Betsy, it was great speaking with you. Thank you so much. We'll see you back up here in a little bit.
Okay, thanks.